Hello, my book-loving friends, and welcome back to Storytime with Mary. This is where we get to read all of our favourite books. And if you're loving reading along with Mary, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to our videos so that we can read together all the time. Okay, book lovers, I've got a bit of a mountainous adventure for you today. Today, we're going to be reading a book called Smidge and the Mountain MoOobles. This book is written and illustrated by Philippa Davies. So if you've got Smidge and the Mountain MoOobles at home, grab it now and let's read it together. And I want to tell you a special fact about this book, that 10% of all the sales of this book is going to the NHS in the UK. The NHS are frontline workers who work in all our hospitals in the UK. And they are busy saving lots of lives right now. So it's so good to support them. So I'm so proud to be supporting and reading this book today. But while you are grabbing your mountainous adventure, I want to tell you a fun fact about mountains. Book lovers, do you know how many mountains there are in the world? Let me tell you, there are almost 1.2 million mountains in the world. Can you imagine 1.2 million mountains? But the cooler fact is that actually about 100,000 of those mountains are completely under the sea. Yeah, there's actually mountains under the sea, fully grown, huge mountains. Isn't that a cool fact, book lovers? Okay, if you've grabbed your book, Smidge and the Mountain MoOobles, let's get cracking. The Mountain MoOobles lived beyond the very highest ridge of a multicoloured hillside you could only reach by bridge. The bridge was made from twigs and twine and sunshine-dappled leaves that flapped and swayed and bounced about in the gusty mountain breeze. Every day, the sun popped up and made the flowers smile, while dewdrops sparkled in the light, and all in single file. The Mountain MoOobles made their way across the bouncy bridge in search of rocks to climb and scale, and a giant known as Smidge. Smidge was a hilltop nomad who roamed from place to place. He'd not been seen for some time now, but they all knew his face. For Smidge was Lord Protector of a very special key that the Mountain MoOobles needed to set their people free. They were tied together with the very strongest twine made from the roots of mighty oak trees growing tall and fine. It was Smidge who bound the MoOobles to stop them straying far from home, because he knew the dangers of going it alone. You see, when Smidge was smaller, he went exploring in a forest. Soon he'd gone too far and started stumbling through the mist. His mother tried to find him. His father called his name, but Smidge had disappeared, and back he never came. Oh no, poor Smidge. Smidge grew tall and mighty, but he was very sad, for though he was a giant, he missed his mum and dad. One day he met the MoOobles and they became his friends. They played in fields and forests and round the river bends. But Smidge kept getting nervous that his new friends might get lost. He would keep them safe, he thought, at almost any cost. He tied them all together in one enormous chain so they could only shuffle up and down and back again. Smidge thought that this was best and would keep them out of trouble. He didn't realise how, in fact, he'd made his problems double. For now the MoOobles could not dance or jump or skip with glee. They could not play with Smidge like back when they were free. One night, Smidge could not sleep, so he walked off alone, just like all those years ago when he wandered far from home. The moon at first was bright and he could see where he was going, but then the sky grew cloudy and it started snowing. Smidge trekked on. He slipped and skidded. Suddenly he fell. He tumbled down the mountainside and landed by a well. Smidge was hurt. His legs were stuck and it kept on getting colder. So he heaved with all his might and laid up against a boulder. Oh, poor Smidge. Very soon the mountain MoOobles noticed Smidge was gone, but they couldn't split up to search for him. They had to search as one. Day after day, back and forth, they trekked across the bridge, shuffling over rocks and rivers. Would they ever find poor Smidge? Then, one summer afternoon, when they'd almost given up, they had grown quite thirsty and needed water for their cup. One MoOoble remembered there was a well not far away. So they shuffled round the hillside, and there was Smidge, as clear as day. Over here! Smidge was overjoyed to see his dearest friends once more. They set to work to free his legs and helped him from the floor. He danced and jumped and skipped with glee, laughing. Then he stopped. He looked down at the MoOobles and his face quickly dropped. What have I done? Smidge sighed, dismayed. I've stopped you having any fun because I was afraid. But now I see it isn't twine that keeps our friends close by. True friends live in our hearts, and we must let them fly. Smidge reached inside his pocket and removed the shiny key. They bent down low, one by one. He set the MoOobles free. They looked around and stretched their legs and smiled, great big smiles. Then, beckoning Smidge to join them, they ran for miles and miles. Smidge and the MoOobles danced and skipped and happily they played. And of being sad and lonely, Smidge was no longer afraid. He knew his friends the MoOobles would always be around, that he didn't need to lock them up or keep them tightly bound. One day, Smidge and the MoOobles came across an ancient forest. Smidge thought it looked familiar and said who else he missed. He told the MoOobles what had happened all those years ago, how he had lost his way and missed his parents so. Oh, Smidge, how hard that must have been, struggling all alone, without your mum and dad or the comforts of your home. Perhaps we could help you find them, as there are lots of us. We can all look high and low. It really is no fuss. The MoOobles started searching behind bushes, by the stream. They spread out far, but were working as a team. Then one MoOoble came across a clearing in the trees, and there stood a great big house made from sticks and leaves. The MoOoble called out loud to Smidge, "Come quick, I found a house. It looks like giants might live here." Certainly not a mouse. Smidge and the other MoOobles came bounding through the forest. Smidge stood still. He stopped and looked and slowly made a fist. He walked up to the wooden door and tapped it, knock, knock, knock. And from inside, they could all hear the turning of a lock. Then the door creaked open, and who stood inside? "Mum and Dad, it's really you!" Smidge gasped out loud and cried. Now, Smidge and the MoOobles live next to Smidge's mum and dad on the multicoloured hillside, and they are always glad that they can happily dance and jump and skip with glee together, knowing however far they roam, they will always have each other. What a beautiful book, Smidge and the Mountain MoOobles. Smidge was scared that his friends would leave him, so he tied them all together. But then he realised that actually your friends are always in your heart, so you don't need to tie them together to keep them close to you, do you? Okay, book lovers, If you enjoyed our book, Smidge and the Mountain MoOobles, as much as we did, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to our videos so that we can read together again next time. Okay, book lovers, see you again next time. Bye.